welcome to Life Coaching on the Move podcast. My name is Fiske and I am absolutely thrilled that you are here listening to this today. Welcome along. I don't know if you're an existing listener and a keen follower. If you are, welcome back. I'm thrilled that you've come back. If you're new to this podcast, this is me. I'm a life coach. I've been life coaching for over 17 years. So I tell stories about different clients, anonymous stories, examples of how or what they have experienced and how they've come through, or my own life experiences, or just generally life experiences and metaphors. I try and give you a key takeaway each week for you to use in your everyday life, for you to continue getting even better, because I believe that better or getting better just doesn't stop. It carries on throughout our life. Improvement, change, shaking things up, adapting and tweaking things, I think is the key to life. It's the key to progress. It's the key to moving forward. And that is what I stand for. That is what I believe in. I do not think getting better is a destination. I think it's a journey. And hopefully you and I will go on a journey together. I am thrilled that you are listening to this podcast, and what it tells me is that the very fact that you have decided to give it a go, decided to listen to a life coach, indicates to me that you're the right audience. It indicates to me immediately that you are keen to make progress, you are keen to develop, you are keen to open up your mind and learn and try new things. So you're definitely in the right place. This is unedited, it's raw, you just get me talking from the heart. I really hope you enjoy it. If you do, please drop me a line. My email address is dawn@milestone-coaching.co.uk, and feel free to either send feedback or send requests of possible subject headings that you would like me to cover, and I will do my best to do so. Without further ado, because I know you've all busy lives and keen to progress, let's move on to today's podcast. To start today, I'm going to ask you a question. My regular listeners will know that I often do this because it starts immediately to get you involved and immediately to get your own brain thinking about your own circumstances. So my question today to you is, did you manage to dress yourself this morning, or did you need any help? And I know you're thinking, what a mad question. I throw this out to audiences sometimes when I start a workshop, and it's the first thing I say before I start the workshop, and the look of puzzlement on their faces. So I get them to give me a show of hands, and most of the time I get 100% show of hands that yes, they did manage to dress themselves this morning. So good. I'm assuming that is the case for most of my listeners here to this podcast. My second part to this question is, did you, however, stop to think about the process of dressing yourself, or how you were dressing yourself? Not what you were wearing, but the actual activity of dressing yourself. Did you, for example, stop to think, shall I put socks on first today or shirt? Or did you stop to think, shall I do left foot today or right foot first, or right hand first or left hand first? Which one shall I go for? Now, I know that the majority of my audience members, no, they didn't stop to think about it. And actually, there's a reason for that, isn't there? Because most of what we do is automatic, or we're on autopilot, or it's habit, whatever you want to call it. We don't need to stop and think, shall I put left foot or right foot first today? Because we've done it so many times, we just get on with it. And in fact, actually what we're doing is busy thinking of other things instead. Other things, must remember to pick up milk on the way home, or I must send that email, or I must make that phone call, or the children need so-and-so in their book bags, or whatever it is. Our mind is elsewhere. We're in many things, many tasks and many activities and demands that we have, we go into automatic pilot. And thank the Lord that we do, really, because if we had to stop and think of every single thing that we did every single time and be mindful of it and conscious of it fully, then our brains will probably implode. There's just too much going on throughout the day, too many tasks, too many activities. We just couldn't function. And in fact, we go into autopilot and think busily about other things, and it helps us achieve, and it helps us get on, so that we can just automatically do things. How often do we just automatically drive to work or drive to the school or wherever we're going on autopilot? And how often have you arrived there and thought, did I pass those traffic lights? I don't remember passing the traffic lights, or I don't remember going past the swimming pool or supermarket or whatever it was. And that's because you're doing it unconsciously. It's become you're unconsciously competent at it, if you that's the jargon that we use. But you're getting on with it and you're busy thinking of other things. Thankfully, we can do that. But today I want to bring your attention to the fact that while you're on this podcast, it's a really, really good opportunity, actually, or in one of my workshops or in any workshop. You've almost taken time out. You're focusing on this content. You're listening to this. You've opened your mind to this content and whatever message, because you actually don't even know at this stage what we're even going to be covering. But predominantly it's about awareness. Today I'm talking about us being more mindful and aware of what we're doing in our everyday lives. So this podcast is a great opportunity for you to remind or refresh or review what you're doing. Same with workshops. I'll often say to audience members, it's great that your company have allowed you the day or the half day or whatever, or you've signed up for this. What you've done there, basically you've got permission from yourself or from bosses to be away from your desk, away from your demands, away from everyday deadlines, to stop, to review, to refresh and remind and learn new things. So you've been given that allowance of time, and by listening to this podcast, that's what you're doing effectively for the next 20 minutes or so. You're concentrating on this rather than everything else that you've got going on in your lives. And I know how busy everybody is and how many pools on their time they've got. Or I say it's a bit of an ABC opportunity, an opportunity to become aware of what you're doing, an opportunity then, once you're aware, to be brave and decide, actually, is this the best way of doing it? And then choose whether to continue in this method or to try a different one. So the ABC: awareness, be brave and bold, and choose. So going back to the getting dressed scenario, yes, we automatically get up, get dressed, get on, and don't often stop to think about how we're doing it. But sometimes if we stop to think about it, is there a better way? Is there a quicker way? Is there a more efficient way? Similarly, with our journey to work, is there a better way? Is there a new route? Has a new route to that destination opened up, a new roundabout, a new dual carriageway, or has something changed? Or do you need to change your car, for example, the method by which you're getting there? Could it be that the car's not functioning anymore and it's taking you forever to get the car started, it keeps breaking down, it's unreliable? Or the train that you're taking, or the time of the train that you're taking, or the route into that city or town, or the bus route, or, so sometimes it can really, really pay to stop and think about what you're doing. That's what's great about training workshops, whether it's a management training workshop, whether it's a time management or a stress management, or because we so often are so busy just getting on. We are a hamster on a wheel. We get up, we do, action, follow our routines, follow all the minutiae of our everyday lives, finish work, come home, do dinner, wash up, sit on the sofa, go to bed. Repeat. But what these podcasts can do, or working with a life coach or going to a workshop, it gives you a chance to stop, it gives you a chance to review and consider, is it the best way? Is there a better way? And that's what I stand for in all of this, that we need to and can continue getting better all the time. Better at what we do, better at how we think, better in our approach, better in our philosophy, better in our actions. So, in a sense, what I'm saying is it's good for you to stop sometimes and be aware. Awareness, I've said this so many times throughout my podcast, awareness is half the battle. Once we know what we've been doing, we're off autopilot and it's in our mind now, it's out of our blind spot and it's in our view, we can then be brave and choose a different way if we decide it's not right. So, for example, I work with lots of people on time management, and one of the issues that comes up over and over and over and over again in time management is the devil known as procrastination. So many people will confess to being a procrastinator. Other things that I work with a lot is, say, overeating, and they want to sort their weight out and their health, or it's avoidance of keeping fit. They know that they're getting unfit, lethargic, stressed. They're not going to the gym anymore. They're just so busy. They haven't got time to go to the gym. Therefore, they're not doing their fitness. Therefore, they're reaching for the sugar buzz to keep them awake because they're exhausted, and so on. So there's an element there of lack of fitness and physical movement. There's an element there of eating the wrong stuff. There's an element there of tiredness and exhaustion, stress, giving into it. Other people, it might be a case of their life feels chaotic because they're just doing. So there's lots of mess and clutter. One client I've got is at the moment, she's basically trying to, from top of her house down, sort it because it for her feels so cluttered, such a mess. She feels out of control of it all. It's a mess. And she is literally going from one area to another, just sorting, tidying, binning, replacing, discarding, etc. Finding a home for things, finding a new home for other things, and getting rid of things. So basically, it's great, isn't it, sometimes to just be aware of what we're doing. Because lots and lots of our actions, lots and lots of the things that we do during the day are just habit. Now, some things are really, really good habits. They're really useful not to have to consider. They're really useful that they're automatic and they work for us. I don't have to, in the morning or the evening, I don't sit there and think, shall I do my teeth today or not? Shall I? Nah. I don't. It's automatic. It's part of my routine. Get up, brush my teeth, take the dog for a walk. Actually, I probably brush my teeth too often. I probably do them 3 or 4 times a day. I do them first thing in the morning, then when I come home and I've done the dog and the kids and the breakfast and washed up, and then I shower, ready for work, brush my teeth again. So that's 2 in the morning. At bedtime, that's 3. And there's usually, if I'm going out in the evenings, you're probably the same. You get changed, get ready, go out, brush your teeth before you leave quite often. So I don't think about it. It's just part of that habit. So it works. It's the habits that I'm looking at really today that aren't working for you. Now, you may not know that they're not working for you, or you may know that they're not working for you, but you feel that you haven't got the self-will or the discipline to get out of those habits because it's too hard. Well, that's where I think it's not the case. I don't think we have to break habits as such. I think we have to replace them. So often when somebody wants to stop doing something, if they want to stop overeating or stop procrastinating or stop smoking or whatever it is, it's not focusing predominantly on the stop. It's more on what are you going to do instead. So I encourage clients to replace. Consider what you want to no longer do in order to do something else. So really it's focusing on what you want instead, because we tend to just get more of what we focus on. So the minute anybody goes on a diet and right, they're following this diet, the minute they go on that diet, they obsess about what they can't have. I can't have that. Oh, no, I can't have this. Or the minute they try and stop cigarettes, they immediately start concentrating on the cigarettes. And that is because our brain doesn't understand the word stop. It just understands what we're focusing on. So, it's classic, isn't it? Have you ever been in a restaurant where they say, don't touch the plates are really hot? What do we all do? We're all humans, even though we're adults. Don't touch the plates. You see everybody around the table touching the plates to see how hot it is. So we don't understand the word don't. We just hear touch the plates. Oh, it must touch the plates, which is why when we say to children, don't spill it, that's the first thing they're going to do. Or don't fall. If my child was stuck up a tree, crying at the top of a tree, and I shouted up there, don't fall, far more likely to fall now, because I've just planted that seed in their mind. They now can visualize, they instantly see themselves falling, etc. If I say to them instead, hold on nice and tight, I'm coming up to get you, won't be a second, see, here I am, I'm coming up the branches now. All they're seeing is hold on nice and tight, I'm coming up. I haven't sown the thought of them falling. Or for a child that's toddling across the room with a full cup of water or something, the minute I say don't spill it, they're much more likely to spill it. We've sown that thought in their mind. They see an image of themselves spilling it, and they're more likely to do what we've said don't do, because we don't understand the word don't. So if you hear someone say to you, don't panic, but you've got a spider crawling up your shoulder or something like that, you're going to panic. Or have you ever had this where they say, don't take this the wrong way? Instantly we take it the wrong way. I don't mean this cruelly. Yes, you do. We've got to say what we want rather than what we don't want, or we've got to focus on what we want rather than what we don't want. So if we talk about clients that say, I don't want to be in debt anymore, I don't want to live like this anymore, how do you want to live instead? What do you want instead? So people who procrastinate in my time management workshops, it's bizarre really. And actually people that I work with low-level depression as well, particularly in the winter, I get lots and lots of clients that come through. In fact, it's my busiest time of year. With low-level depression, not clinical depression, but low-level depression, lost their mojo, at a crossroads, fed up, it's dark, it's miserable, I'm not going out, I'm not seeing my mates, I'm fed up, I'm eating stodge, etc., etc. That takes energy. That takes a lot of energy. Procrastination and avoidance. My client who's avoiding tidying up her house, it's just getting more and more cluttered and more chaotic and more negative, and she doesn't like the environment and she's more and more unhappy. That takes energy. Low-level depression and feeling fed up and looking at the negative of everything, and no, I don't feel like going out, and I'm not in the right mood. I won't wish this mood on anybody. I'm not good company at the moment. I won't go out with my mates. I'll cry off, or I'll avoid answering the phone. That takes effort and energy to be in that mindset. Procrastination takes time. It costs you. It takes energy. It takes effort to avoid doing things. And the perverse thing is here, the irony is that energy actually could be switched into and thrown into the camp of what do you want instead. So the procrastinators, if they spent that energy that they're spending on, well, I'll just do the ironing before I do that spreadsheet, or I'll just make these phone calls, and I'll just check YouTube, and I'll just check social media, and I'll just pop to the neighbours and see how they are. All that i.e. that dead certainty that they're procrastinating. When you hear yourself say, I'll just do, you're avoiding. If they threw that energy and effort into action, they achieve what they're trying to avoid, and B, they get away from procrastination. So the irony is, if you see it, I think I may or may not have used this example before, but if you see it as a fork in the road, you could take the left fork or the right fork. The left fork is the procrastination or the messiness or the overeating or the lack of fitness or whatever it is, the negative that you are pouring energy into in order to achieve that negative, in order to achieve going to the gym and making your excuses, or the activity, or your class, or your yoga, or your run with your friends, or your football, whatever it is you're avoiding, or the effort that you're throwing into the overeating, etc. in the left fork of that road, that left route that you've chosen to take, if you threw all that same energy in your mind, it takes effort in your brain. You have to tell yourself certain things. You have to reinforce it in your mind. You have to chatter away to yourself. You have to do other things in order to avoid and procrastinate. You have to do procrastination habits and behaviors of just checking your email and all the rest of it. If you threw that same effort and energy into the spreadsheet that you're avoiding, or the phone call that you're avoiding making, or that difficult conversation that you're avoiding, or that report that you're meant to be putting together but you're procrastinating over it, or the exercise that you feel that you ought to be doing to make yourself feel better and healthier, or that class, or that run, or whatever the fitness is, or the healthy eating instead of the stodge, or the tidying up of the chaos, or the cleaning of the car, or whatever it is that you feel you, in the ideal world, would want to be doing or ought to be doing, but you're avoiding it or you're not doing it, then if you throw that energy into replacing the negative left fork in the road and take the right fork in the road, using the same energy, the same mindset, but saying different things, doing different things, then you are getting the results. You are getting the improvement. And as I said right at the beginning of this podcast, we are creatures of habit. We like habit. It always makes me smile. When I'm running a workshop, let's say I'm running an all-day workshop, they arrive at, say, 9, and they all find a seat and they all sit there and we do little introductions or whatever, get to know yous. And at the beginning session, then we might break for coffee, and they'll go and they'll come back, and then we'll break for lunch and off they go, and then they'll come back each time, and then tea break in the afternoon. Each time they reconvene, they all go back to the same seats. And if it's a 2-day workshop, they'll go back to the same seat that they had the day before. Even if it's completely clear the room, they've taken all their stuff home in between the 2 days or whatever, they'll go back to the same seats. We are creatures of habit. And that has its benefits, don't get me wrong, like brushing our teeth and getting on with our routines at home, and that's how you function, and you get the kids out the door on time and you out the door on time, etc. We need some habits. But my question to you today is being aware and stopping, giving yourself time to think, is this the best way? Is there a better way? Because we are constantly getting better, we can constantly be tweaking just little approaches, or the routes that we take, or the means by which we get there. We can tweak them and improve them. For example, I don't know if you noticed, for those of you who regularly listen, I added in some music to the intro today because I want to constantly tweak and get better, or improve and change and adapt. I don't want to get this into a stuck rut. I don't want it to be the same every week. I want it to be different. Sometimes personal stories, sometimes more theory based, sometimes quite emotional, sometimes quite practical, sometimes with music, sometimes not, sometimes on a dog walk, sometimes in the office, sometimes maybe sat in the car waiting for one of the children, sometimes doing my ironing, because I want you to be part of my life. And feel that we're getting into each other's lives, even if we don't know each other, but I don't want it to get staid and boring. So I want it to constantly get better. That's why I invite people to send me emails with topics or feedback or whatever. That's how we evolve. That's how we grow. This is why it's so good that so many organisations do appraisals, they do feedback, they do quarterly reviews, mid-year reviews, end-of-year reviews. Because how do we know if we're doing something right unless someone helps give us some feedback? Helps to get things out of our blind spots, because all the time they're in our blind spots, we'll never improve or change or perfect or tweak and grow. So what my key takeaway I'm getting to here is be brave. Look at what you're doing routinely, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's in the house, outside of it, with your gardening, with anything that you're doing. anything at all that's quite big, with your fitness, with your health, with your well-being, with your stress management, with your me time, everything, little areas of your life, just look at them and reflect. Just be aware. Am I fully focusing on this area and doing it as best I could? Is there any way I could improve it? What about this area here? Could I improve that? The meals that we have every night, could I shake them up a bit and add something different and something interesting once a week or something like that? Could I try a new physical activity? Could I try a new activity in my life to bring some fun and some play into my life? Could I try talking to different people and welcoming new friends into my life? So things like that. Awareness is half of it. Thinking about what is habit, much of what we do is habit, that's good. Are they the right habits? If not, rather than try and break the habits, replace the habits with something else instead. So change procrastination, replace it with action. So all that energy, throw it into actually doing some action. Avoidance, change that to sorting something. So rather than avoiding it, just get on with it. Use that energy and that effort into being brave, choosing and doing something. The avoidance of the fitness, okay, don't waste that energy avoiding, use that energy to actually do something, even if it's just a 15-minute walk at lunchtime. You can then say, I've made progress. I went for a walk at lunchtime. I went at a pace. I got my heartbeat up a little bit. I got some fresh air. I did something. You then start praising yourself and feeling good about yourself, and you're breaking that habit. Messiness, even if it's tidying just one area of your room, just one corner or one cabinet or one drawer, you know, bite-sized chunks. So what I'm saying here is, I've said this before, the definition of insanity truly is to keep doing the same thing over and over and again and expect a different outcome. That's unlikely to happen. The way to increase our chances of getting a different and improved outcome is to actually do something different. We're only then, taking it a step back, going to do something different if we're aware of it. Because, similar to the first analogy of getting dressed and just getting on with it, when we're in autopilot, we just do the same over and over again. That's okay much of the time. But if there are any areas in your life that are not quite working or could be even better, even more efficient, even happier, even healthier, even more rewarding or more fun, whatever it is that you're looking for, then you need to be aware of how you're approaching it currently. And is there a way of putting all of that effort and energy into a different direction, a different route, a different fork in the road? Take the right fork instead and try something different. Little bits at a time, bite-sized chunks. I know that many of us, and I know I have said this before, but if you're new to the podcast, I don't know about you, but I often, pretty much every year, try and do dry January. I've heard that actually there's a Stoptober as well, where you stop alcohol or whatever it is, stop smoking or stop whatever, for Stoptober. So you've got January and you've got October, but we don't need months like that. We don't need a given from somebody else to tell us, right, for a month you've got to stop alcohol or something. And then many people give something up for Lent. So we've got it, and most of us have managed to do whatever it is that we're stopping in Stoptober or dry January, or what we're giving up for Lent, because it's a bite-sized chunk of time. It's a given time. It's manageable. We haven't committed. We haven't thrown ourselves into never ever having this again. We've just said, for this given period of time, I'm not going to have chocolate or whatever it is, alcohol in January, whatever. And most of us manage that. And yet when we throw ourselves massive tasks of giving up smoking forever, or never ever having sugar again, or going to the gym 5 times a week for the rest of our lives or whatever, it's too big, it's too much. And we set ourselves up for failure. Then we beat ourselves up when we have failed, and then we feel rubbish, even more rubbish than we did before we started. So I would say, now that you've stopped and considered, and you're coming off autopilot for most areas of your life, and you're looking at it and reflecting and trying to get some blind spots into your vision. You're aware, that's half the battle. You then decide what you're going to throw your energies into instead, and replace that bad habit with a new habit, because we need habits, we need them, we need routine, we are creatures of habit. They give us safety, they give us boundaries, they give us ease and make our lives simple and stop our brains imploding. It's just, are they the right habits, and can we replace them with different, healthier ones? And if you are trying to replace them with something different, healthier and more helpful and more empowering, so that you continue to improve and get better and make progress and develop and grow, then do it in small bite-sized chunks. Do it for, I'm going to do this for a fortnight, or I'm going to do this for a month, or I'm going to do it for a week, or whatever, and then build on it. So do bite-sized chunks so you don't set yourself up for failure. Do it for a week or a month, or whatever it is that you feel would be useful. Review, come off autopilot at the end of that, and build on it. Build on your success. Put another layer on that. I often say, my boy was absolutely fanatical about Lego. He's still got a few massive Lego set. He's still got the some Star Wars models and things like that. So every Christmas he would put one of these Lego kits, one of these big kits, the hospital, those city kits where you get the whole hospital or the whole airport, something like that. He got the Death Star, massive Death Star, which took him and I a good couple of weeks to work through, and they're really, really complex. And you open them all up, and there's lots of bags, and you open all the bags, and there's a huge instruction manual. But you literally, it looks like a massive pile of random Lego bricks all over the floor. What a mess. A dedicated area of the lounge would be just, I wouldn't be allowed to hoover while he was building over the weeks. And he just did it step by step, one brick at a time. So he would follow the instructions, build them as the instructions said, and slowly, one brick at a time. And I have to say, a couple of times, in particular the Death Star, the two boys were messing around in the lounge. Something got thrown. I think they were playing with a rugby ball or something. Something got thrown. It crashed and hit the half-built Death Star, destroyed the whole thing, Lego everywhere. That was a moment where my heart stopped for a second. That had taken us weeks. We had to disassemble it all and start again. But we got there. And years later, I think about the last 3 years, it's still sat on the side of his cupboard in his bedroom. Pride and joy still there. Still successful, and still just one brick at a time to get the total result that he wanted. And that's us in life, isn't it? We've just got to keep adding a brick, keep adding a little brick, and before you know it, something takes shape. You get a result at the end. But it didn't look that way when you first started. It looked just a mess of clutter. That's what we've got to do. There's an analogy there in life, for life really, that we've got to just build layer upon layer upon layer of our successes until they become habits. Then we don't need to think so much about them. They're more routine, but they're good ones. They're helpful ones. So that's what we're aiming for today. So a key takeaway for today is open up your awareness, stop, review, reflect, look at what you're doing, look at the areas where it's not working so well for you and why, what needs to change, what do you need instead to have, to do, to be thinking, to be applying. Put that energy that was originally in the negative into the positive. Build on it slowly for a week, for a month. Build on it, keep building another brick and another brick and another brick till you get the result that you want. Don't forget that I am here as a coach if you need just one session or whatever to talk to me throughout that little process. Do not think that geography is an issue. It's not. I know that we've got people in Germany, Australia, America listening to this because I do phone, Skype, FaceTime, all of those sorts of technological, approaches, so that geography is not an issue. You can still have some coaching. Just drop me an email, dawn@milestone-coaching.co.uk, or check me out on the website, www.milestone-coaching.co.uk. milestone-coaching.co.uk. There is loads on the website. I think now also you can click onto the newsletter and get all the updates of what's been happening this summer, and any new announcements that are on the newsletter. There are online programs that you can purchase. There are all sorts. There's a workshop coming up on realizing your potential, ending this year on a high and having a strong start to 2020, for example. There's loads more, and training courses for your organizations or companies, whatever it is. But it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. I hope it has been really useful. Go out there, be mindful, be aware, make choices, make changes, make improvements, share them with me, drop me an email and let me know what's worked. But I will see you on the next podcast. I just wish you a very, very strong and very, very confident week ahead. Good luck with those good habits. Good luck with breaking your bad habits. And I speak to you soon. Good luck.